at na tinitiyak kong may konkretong direksyon, plano at pondo, makatotohanan at napag-aralan, hindi puro kwentuhan at bulahan.
Boxing legend and Senator Manny Pacquiao highlights his 22 rounds agenda. Corruption, employment, healthcare, internet signal, and renewable energy are his priorities.
Sa panibagong laban na ito, kinaharap ko, nais kong kilalanin nyo ang Manny Pacquiao na tumatakbong presidente ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Tatanggapin ko po ang inyong hamon.
Vice President Leni Robredo's plan anchors on her tagline, "Kapag ang gobyerno ay tapat, aangat ang buhay ng lahat." She insists to restore people's trust in government and put premium on implementing effective plans for housing.
Bububuin natin ang pinakamalaking public-private partnership kontra gutom. Mga food bank kada barangay na suportado ng mga simbahan at ng private sector, community kitchens para lahat may access sa sapat na pagkain.
Labor leader Caliori de Guzman pushes for the empowerment of workers by abolishing manpower agencies and increasing the wage of those in the provinces. To address inequality, de Guzman wants to impose wealth tax.
20% wealth tax kaagad sa mga mayamang mula hanggang 500 na mga milyonaryo at bilyonaryo. At yung perang magagamit, makukuha natin dito ay isupport natin sa mga magsasaka, isupport natin sa mga sektor ng kalusugan, isupport natin sa paglikha ng trabaho.
To wrap up the 3-hour presidential forum, aspirants were asked why they should be the next president of the Philippines.
Kaya subukan natin yung isang leader manggagawa na hindi nangangako, kundi sa mahabang panahon, sa loob ng 38 years, ay inilalaban na yung bit-bit na plataforma hanggang sa kasalukuyan.
What we need is maganap ng tunay na solusyon, mabilis na aksyon. Ako po, mga kababayan, aplikante po ninyo. I can get things done.
Towards the end of my term as president, there should be no doubt in the mind of every Filipino that we are better off than when we started, that our people trust their government much better than ever before.
Dahil ramdam ko po ang naramdaman at pinagdaanan ng ating mga kababayan. Kung paano ako nangarap para maiahon sa kahirapan ang aking pamilya, ang aking mga relatives. Ganon din po ang aking pangarap na maiahon sa kahirapan ang buong sambayan ng Pilipino.
Ang inaalok kong uri ng pamamahala, isang gobyernong tapat, mahusay, masipag, at laging maaasahan. At ngayong 2022, the last man standing will still be a woman.
Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
The aspirants also addressed a host of other issues during the KBP's town hall. These include the granting of legislative franchise to online sabong operators, the establishment of Boracay Development Authority, and the congestion in the country's jails. George Cahiles has more.
The rehabilitation of the world-famous Boracay Island in Aklan was among the priority projects of the Duterte administration. To maintain and further develop the top tourist destination, some lawmakers proposed the creation of a separate government agency that will focus on this, the Boracay Development Authority. During the KBP forum, the presidential aspirants were asked if they'll push for this measure if they win the elections. Partido Reforma standard-bearer Senator Panfilo Lacson says he'll sign it.
Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon, yung talagang yung tourism area, magkaroon tayong parang tourism estate mentality, no? Na kung saan makapag-attract at ma-develop talaga yung tourism.
Senator Manny Pacquiao thinks otherwise. He says the tourism and environment departments can carry out the development programs on the island with the help of the local government. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and Vice President Leni Robredo agree.
Huwag na tayo magdagdag ng bureau na meron naman nag-i-exist ngayon na sapat, epektibo, at mga lokal na pamahalang nakikinabang sa ekonomiya, trabaho at hanap buhay at negosyo sa lugar na yon.
For Labor leader Leody de Guzman, participation of the community is important in the development of the area. The presidential hopefuls also shared different views on granting legislative franchise to operators of online sabong. Robredo says she does not agree with anything that can cause addiction. De Guzman is also not in favor.
Dapat nating alisin yan at mas mag-focus tayo doon sa mga produktibong bagay na makakatulong sa ating mga mamamayan.
Pacquiao and Moreno meanwhile are for the regulation of isabong.
Ang mga tao na kumikita, kung gusto nilang magsugal, magpumusta, nasa kanila na po yun. Dahil ituro na lang po natin sa kanila yung disiplina sa sarili.
Lacson stake is to thoroughly study the issue. On illegal drugs and jail congestion, Pacquiao wants to build a mega prison to help decongest the National Penitentiary. For Robredo, since most detainees at the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology facilities are suspected drug offenders, amending the dangerous drugs law may help.
Para ayusin natin na meron na siyang delineation, ano ba yung gagawin kung ikaw ay drug user. Dapat iba-iba yung mga penalties na piniprescribe dito.
The Guzman says drug addiction should be treated as a health issue. Moreno wants to address the root of the illegal drugs problem in the country, while Lacson wants a holistic approach, a balance of prevention, enforcement, and rehabilitation. Lacson is also pushing for regional jail facilities so families of inmates can easily visit them and help in their rehabilitation. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The KBP Presidential Forum quickly trended on social media with a number of netizens calling out Bongbong Marcos for skipping the event. Marcos' spokesperson Vic Rodriguez confirmed the former senator had a one-on-one interview with TV host Corina Sanchez this morning, saying it was one of the many activities they have in their full schedule today. Rodriguez also explained they would have attended the forum had there been no earlier commitments. He added they prefer one-on-one interviews so Marcos can explain his platforms better.
If the program is for 1 hour, say for example, and there are 5 invited guests, tigi ilang minuto sila. Can you honestly explain to the Filipino people your stand and the opinion on the problems in the West Philippine Sea? Okay? Yung foreign policy and foreign relations ng bansa, may explain mo ba in 3 minutes na maunawaan ng tao? Baka lalo lang malito ang tao. Yung drug problem, peace and order, yung economy, yung pandemic response, yung ating magiging tugon sa recovery ng economy post-pandemic, kaya ba nating paliwanag yan in 15 minutes or even 30 minutes?
In a separate post, Sanchez confirmed the taping with Marcos and even listed some of the questions she asked. She later said, quote, "To be clear, when we invited BBM, it was his team who chose the time and date. We had no choice," end quote. Netizens also shared their sentiments about Vice President Leni Robredo's poor internet connection during the forum. Some praised her for showing up, while others suspect she only did so to appear as the good one. Robredo later apologized, saying the fault is all mine. She said her team tried to convince her to cancel all other engagements today, but she insisted on fulfilling all her commitments. The vice president earlier explained they had to borrow an office near the airport to attend the forum, as she was initially scheduled to fly to Typhoon Odette affected areas in the morning. She had to move it to a later flight to make time for the forum. CNN Philippines is hosting 2 debates this month. Catch our vice presidential debate on February 26th and presidential debate on February 27th. We are calling on all aspirants for the 2 highest positions to face the Filipino voter.
Who are seeking the highest office of the land.
Unedited, unfiltered, coming soon.
A CNN Philippines special presentation, The Filipino Votes 2022 Presidential Debate.
Also, get to know some aspirants vying for a Senate seat on the next CNN Philippines Senatorial Forum. Antique Representative Loren Legarda, former Defense Chief Gibo Teodoro, and former Senator Sonny Trillanes will be answering questions on issues that matter to Filipinos. Catch that with our anchor Ria Tanhuat Cotrillo this Sunday, February 6th at 7 p.m. only here on CNN Philippines. With a campaign season that begins Tuesday, the Commission on Elections Campaign Committee convenes to discuss guidelines on in-person activities. The committee meets with the Philippine National Police, the military, and the Health and Interior Departments to iron out details on in-person campaigns. The guidelines include requiring parties and candidates to secure permits from the campaign committee to make sure health protocols will be observed. Health protocol violations will be considered an election offense. The COVID-19 vaccination of children 5 to 11 years old will push through next week. That assurance coming from health officials after the rollout initially scheduled for today was suspended because of logistical delays. The 760,000 low-dose Pfizer shots allocated for the age group are expected to arrive in the country tonight. They were supposed to be delivered yesterday. Children initially scheduled for vaccination on February 4th can get inoculated on Monday, February 7th. While the rollout that was supposed to take place this February 7th and 8th will be on Wednesday, February 9th. Vaccination for the age group will begin in Metro Manila as well as in selected areas in Central Luzon and Calabarzon. The rest of the regions will follow on February 14th.
Starting ng madaling araw ng 5, magdi-deliver na po yan. So, start po ng 7 at saka 8 for the areas of NCR and selected areas of Region 3 and Region 4A. Kitalastasan din tayo kung maitutuloy natin yung isang area ng Cotabato Regional Hospital and one area in Davao.
About 160,000 children in the age group have been registered for vaccination, including 100,000 kids from Metro Manila. Up next, 2 parents seek to stop the COVID-19 vaccination of kids aged 5 to 11. But the government says it is pushing through with the rollout next week. We speak to vaccine czar Carlito Galvez. And the bar examinations finally begin after being delayed for almost 2 years because of the pandemic. We take a look at how the first digital test took place when we return. Welcome back to Newsnight. 2 parents have filed a petition before a Quezon City court to stop the COVID-19 vaccination of children 5 to 11 years old. Complainants Dominic Almelor, a former TV reporter, and Girly Samonte sought a temporary restraining order a day before the supposed rollout on Friday. Health officials have moved the vaccination to Monday, February 7th, due to logistical concerns. We now go above and beyond the headlines with vaccine czar Carlito Galvez. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening po, Ma'am Enchu, at magandang gabi po sa ating po lahat.
All right. Sir, vaccination for children aged 5 to 11 was supposed to start today, but it was pushed back to Monday, February 7. So can you give us more details on the reason for the delay, sir?
Because of some logistical challenge, we were informed by the DHL that I believe the flight supposed to be today, yesterday, was canceled. Alam na po naman natin na talagang ngayong mataas po ang kaso ng Omicron. There are many cases na nakakancel po yung mga flight. And we do understand. And ngayon po, we will go to the airport to receive yung 780,000 po na vaccine na darating po ngayon.
So 730,000 doses, sir, or vials?
Ito po 780,000 doses
80.
po.
780,000.
Ang isang vials po ay mayroon pong 10 doses.
Okay, so final na po, the vaccination for children aged 5 to 11 will push through on Monday.
Yes po, tuloy na po sa 6 po na lugar dito sa Metro Manila at 2 lugar po dito sa Region 4A. And also we will continue our vaccination sa 8 and 9, and also we will continue our vaccination to different regions this coming February 14.
Okay.
And we are very thankful na overwhelming po ang support ng mga parents at saka yung ating Philippine Pediatric Society of the Philippines is fully supporting us po.
Okay. After this initial delivery po, any more expected deliveries of vaccines specific to kids aged 5 to 11?
Ang in-order po natin lahat-lahat is 30 million. At darating po ngayong first quarter in tranches, 7.5 million and another 7.5 million sa second quarter. Pagka nagkaroon na po ng katuparan po yung ating tinatawag na contract for additional, we will be receiving more or less siguro 15 million during this first quarter. So after the first tranche of 780, this coming February 14 or 12, darating naman po yung another 780,000 and another 1.2 million the succeeding week of February. So all in all, this coming February, baka malaki-laki ang matanggap po natin.
Okay, so these are all Pfizer doses, sir. So do you have any information on the EUA applications of other vaccines for pediatric vaccinations? Kasi if I remember correctly, may 3 pa po yun na brands na nag-apply for amendments to their EUA. Yung Sinovac, Covaxin, and Sinopharm. Kumusta na po yung progress dito, sir?
Ongoing pa rin ang evaluations ng Vaccine Expert Panel at saka ng FDA. We are still awaiting, especially yung Sinovac at saka itong Sinopharm na meron tayong volumes na natira dito sa ating mga warehouses. And hopefully within next week or next 2 weeks, magkaroon na po ng katuparan na may EUA na po. At mas maganda po yan para at least marami po tayong tinatawag po na options na magamit po ng mga vaccine.
Okay. Well, just this week, sir, a petition was filed before the QCRTC to stop pediatric vaccinations. What steps is the government taking regarding this, and how do you think this will impact vaccination efforts in this age group?
We are very confident na very minimal po ang magiging effect nito dahil kasi nakita natin na mas marami pong mga parents at mga magulang nang gustong-gusto pong mabakunahan ng kanilang mga anak. In fact, dito sa Metro Manila, 167,000 na po ang nagpa-rehistro. At ako po galing po sa Iloilo at saka Cebu at saka Bacolod. Sa Iloilo, more or less 42,000 na po ang nagpa-registered. And we are very confident that though alam namin na may proseso po tayo, but we have a very strong support from the different medical associations. And in fact, yung UNICEF and World Health Organization and the Pediatric Society of the Philippines will be joining us during the inoculation.
Okay, but even if you have the support of all of these groups, there still is obviously vaccine hesitancy in the country. What is your message to parents who are still vaccine hesitant up to now?
Nakikita po natin na yung mga ating mga kabataan po ay talagang vulnerable po sa COVID-19. Nakita natin during the Delta, more than 9,000 ang na-hospitalized dun sa India, and also during the Omicron surge dito sa US, more than 400% ng mga kanilang mga natawag nating pediatric ang na-hospital. So ang nakikita po natin, ang panawagan po natin sa ating mga magulang, kailangan po talaga mabuo yung ating programa na buong pamilya po ang ating mabakunahan. Kasi pagka buong pamilya po ang ating mabakunahan ay we will keep the family safe. At mas maganda po na talagang yung mga bata po ay makawala na po sa restrictions, at the same time magkaroon na po tayo ng face-to-face.
All right. Well, vaccination and booster efforts are still ongoing all throughout the country. Kumusta na po yung mga efforts na ito, especially dun sa mga malalayong lugar? Has accessibility issues been addressed, and how are LGUs coping, sir?
Yes, maganda yun. Nakatutuwa nga tayo dahil kasi kahit na panahon ng election ngayon at very professional ang ating mga LGUs, talagang ginagawa nila, nag-house to house sila, at saka talagang ginagawa nila, nagbabarangay to barangay and house to house. And nung tayo nagkaroon ng tinatawag na pagkakataon na inopen up natin ang ating mga bakunahan dito sa mga butika, nakita natin naging maganda yung tinatawag nating accessibility at saka yung availability ng ating mga vaccines, lalo na sa mga different far-flung areas. So nung nagpunta kami sa Cebu at saka sa Iloilo at saka sa Bacolod, tuwan-tuwa po sila dahil kasi sa lahat po ng butika, darating po ang panahon na yung ating mga bakuna, sa lahat po ng butika all around the Philippines nationwide ay talagang magiging accessible na po sa ating mga kababayan. So yun po ang ating mga ginagawa po at sa ngayon po tumutulong din ang ating private sector, tumutulong din po ang lahat ng different agencies, tumutulong yung ating mga tourism industry para mapalawig ang pagbabakuna po natin. Katulad po ng tinatawag natin pagbabakuna ng mga boosters. At the same time, maganda rin po ang reception ng children vaccination kasi 9 million na po ang nabakunahan po natin sa ating mga 12 to 17.
All right, vaccine czar Carlito Galvez, thank you for your time, sir. Public schools that will begin holding in-person classes next week will not receive additional funding for now. That's according to Education Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla, who says the 2022 budget is still fresh and that funds allocated for schools are still full. But she adds the agency had allocated standby aid in case schools need it. Over 300 schools will resume in-person classes next week. After almost 2 years of waiting, the Philippine bar exams finally began amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost 11,700 examinees took the first day test, which was digitalized for the first time. Stanley Gahete gives us a look.
Crowds of supporters cheered them on as examinees trooped to testing sites. These were the usual scenarios as law graduates prepared to take the bar exams before the pandemic. But COVID-19 is a game changer. Examinees are now by their lonesome.
Actually, pareho po. Nakatulong naman siya. Kasi nga, mas mahaba yung namin para mag-aral.
Naging on-off po yung review namin eh.
It is the first time for the exams to go digital in 31 locations nationwide. Dumaguete City in Negros Oriental is hosting the exams for the first time. The local government helps in traffic management and making sure the testing days are safe and that minimum public health protocols are strictly observed.
Apart from the segregation of the unvaccinated with the vaccinated, we segregate the cases where there can be a high level of suspicion of infection, and therefore we have what we call an isolation site.
The government has set rules for examinees who caught COVID-19 and recovered. But for those who tested positive just days before the exam,
kami po naman ay isang institusyon na kailangan pangalagaan ang aming rationale. And ang aming rationale is the application of a rule of just law.
Another first, examinees are with their laptops with downloaded software to take the test.
The earliest examinee to finish the exam was at 8:58 this morning, which I think gives you a clue as to the type of exam.
The Supreme Court releases the exam results in 5 to 6 months, but it hopes the period will be shorter, this time with the digitalized process. Bar exam chairman Associate Justice Leonen gives some tips for the examinees for the second testing day on February 6th.
Ang advice ko para sa mga examinees for day 2 to live in the present moment. Huwag silang magmadali.
Stanley Gahete, CNN Philippines.
Still ahead on Newsnight. After a delay in his 2022 season debut, Olympics pole vaulter EJ Obiena is ready to take on a number of global competitions this month. And knowing Taylor Swift's lyrics by heart might earn you a few points in this class at New York University. Details when we return. Welcome back. Pole vault sensation EJ Obiena is kicking off his 2022 season with 5 international tournaments in the February lineup. The 25-year-old begins by defending his title in the ISTAF Indoor Athletics Meet tonight in Germany. The athlete also has scheduled competitions in Sweden, Poland, and France. The pole vaulter was set to start his season with the INIT indoor meeting in Germany last month, but pulled out to recover from knee surgery. In the NBA, take a look at this year's All-Star player pool. 2 from the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, were selected as reserves. Captains LeBron James and Kevin Durant make their picks among the 14 reserve players next Friday in the NBA All-Star Draft Show. Taylor Swift fans, if you think you already know the Grammy-winning singer all too well, there's a class at New York University that can put that to the test. Variety reports the Clive Davis Institute opened a course on the famous pop star and how she evolved as a creative music entrepreneur. But students hoping to enroll might need to hurry. The magazine says the class already has a long wait list. And that's it for tonight. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Menshu Macapagal, sitting in for Pia Ontiveros. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by